This episode will be completely taken out of context. Welcome to the Fact Check This podcast.
All right. Fact Check This podcast, and I am back. At least I'm trying to be. I'm working on it. We'll see how it goes week to week, but I don't think there will be any major issues with being pretty consistent, at least for a little while. I have the topic that we're talking about today, and then I had another one that I had actually thought about doing a Tuesday and Thursday show this week. Excuse me. But the other topic that I was going to talk about, I want to let it play out a little bit further and see what direction it goes before jumping into it. Also, I'm probably going to be shifting directions a little bit going forward. Not going to be as explicitly political. Not that I think my show has necessarily been explicitly political anyway. I try to talk about things that I think are interesting and read articles that I think are cool and then look at them from a political perspective. But I may dial back on the politics a bit and probably going forward be focused more on comic books, video games, and parenting type stuff for obvious reasons, which all of that actually ties into, or at least the video games and the parenting stuff ties directly into today's episode. And a new game that came out at the beginning of the week called Pragmata by Capcom, where you play as Hugh. And Hugh is an astronaut exploring a space station that's had something go wrong on the moon. And you're tasked with protecting this little android girl, Diana. And it sparked all kinds of controversy, I guess you could say, from the typical crowd folks who want to find controversy in anything and everything good and wholesome and right with the world. Because you are taking on the paternal role of the protective father figure as Hugh, taking care of and guarding Diana as you work through this space station and try to figure out what's going on. And I will not lie, I have only played maybe 30 minutes. So I when I saw all of the buzz about it, I was like, all right, like, and not only that, like the buzz was one thing that really caught my attention, but also by and large the reviews it was going anywhere from 96 to 98% gamer score, and the last I had seen it was like 86, 87, 8.6 or 8.7 out of 10 rating. Like, it's very, very well rated, very well received. All of the reviews seem to be genuinely excellent, and you don't get that a lot from a lot of games. So especially nowadays, which we'll get into all the why that is. But so I saw all that and I was like, all right, I'm in. I need something to get me out of my rut of just playing Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 3 over and over again. And then yeah, like Trey says, even like game journalists like it, which is funny because anything that's like good and wholesome and actually caters to a gamer audience like me, Trey, several of our other friends, they tend to absolutely hate it, even if it's a great game. Like, there are a number of very good games out there currently that the game journalists just rip to shreds because they are good games. They are what we came up playing and what we as gamers want. And we can go into, I may actually hit up Trey and we may do some like Gamergate stuff and go into the whole like genesis of where this undermining of gaming the way it used to be really started and how it evolved. But suffice it to say that this game has been very well received. And so I got it, and I will sit down and actually dig into it and play for real. Probably next week whenever I've got some time. I have been harassing my best friend from college and college roommate to get Game Pass and play the Master Chief Collection with me since back in the fall, and he finally broke down and did it. And so we've been playing like the OG Halo Combat Evolved, like the original from the Master Chief Collection. So I have been a little bit preoccupied this week with doing other stuff and not sitting down and playing Pragmata, but I will dive into that probably next week when I've got some time off work. But like I said, I've had other things going on and been having fun with other stuff this week. But that doesn't change the fact that there is a whole lot of buzz around this game, and there's a whole lot of negative buzz. And the negative buzz comes from the usual suspects, the people that push the Gamergate bullshit and stuff like that. And so we're going to read very quickly, we're going to run through an article from The Gamer and a journalist on there, journalist. And then we'll talk about it, some of the other social stuff that's come out of this and where all of that kind of leads. So let's start with the article real quick and we'll run through that. Gaming could not allow Pragmata's Diana fan club to flourish. It's okay. This is from Stacey Henley, who is the editor-in-chief at The Gamer. And Stacey Henley is also a troon, if you were curious. And I went through and checked on some of Stacey's other things that Shim's written, and it's a whole lot of Pokemon nonsense, and was very positive about Ghost of Yotai, which pretty much anybody will tell you was garbage. Yeah, and we're going to get into this. The pushback is from two specific camps: leftists, obviously, but also the new age conservatives. And we will get into those after we get done with this article, because that's one of the things that I really want to focus on. The article kind of sets the stage for this, but the new age conservative response is the absolute bullshit of this whole thing and what I really wanted to dig into. So anyway, going to the article. I don't really mind people finding video game characters attractive. If I did mind, I would be hypocritical. Do people get weird about it and take it too far sometimes? Absolutely. But then that's the same for pop stars, actors, cartoon characters, and just real life people that we find attractive. It just happens. You could argue that weird attitudes toward characters are more frequent in video games, but that might just be that you have a greater interest in video games, I assume, unless you stumbled here from the pop star. And therefore, you see more of it. You could also argue it tends to be a bigger deal in video games, where the culture war is incessant and where the fictional hyper-designed nature of character models tends to be seen as a win or a lose for each side of this entirely imagined divide. But it only matters as much as you care about it. I, a woke video game journalist, humbly declare that Eve from Stellar Blade is hot. This is commonly agreed upon, yet often fought over. I'm still not sure why. The issue becomes when this is the primary reason for playing, which quickly becomes a toxic tar pit wherein you start to convince yourself, and are convinced by your immediate like-minded surroundings, that this is the only reason games should exist. This, I suppose, is why we fight over Stellar Blade. I might say that the game is a little shallow, that Eve lacks personality, and the mix of gun and melee combat doesn't work for the more epic bosses it attempts to serve up, but this would be received by some as merely making excuses to cover up for the fact that I hate beautiful ladies. And that is and we will get to that. That's immediately after this, Trey. The Mary Morgan tweet. But this is funny. The wording of this line would be received by many as merely making excuses to cover up for the fact that I hate beautiful ladies. What we have seen in the gaming world is, you have all of these characters that have been developed over the years, and there are iconic characters. And a lot of times they're very buxom beautiful ladies, and that's fine. That's cool. You know, you think of the Lara Crofts and stuff like that. And over the years, there's been a big push to take away the beautiful things that make games like attractive and really ugly everything up. And it's like, what? Why? What's the purpose of that? Like, if you just make an ugly game, then it's just ugly. Like, people don't want to play that. Are you trying to cater to an ugly crowd? I'm pretty sure ugly gamers have existed for forever and have always enjoyed playing games with beautiful people in them, like beautiful character designs. It doesn't need to be super like hyper realistic. And there are games that are hyper realistic, and you can make those be good on their own with that hyper realism. But like, creating beautiful characters doesn't need to be something that people fight over. But because of people like whoever this dude is, Stacy or what? Yeah, Stacy, Stanley, whatever. Because of Stacy and others, specifically females, who honestly got injected into the gaming sphere. Like, it didn't happen organically. Nobody gave a fuck about what these people said or wanted for forever until the Gamergate stuff came around, which ended up being completely bullshit. And like I said, I'll hook up with Trey later and we will go into depth about the whole Gamergate nonsense. But it's all been artificially manufactured to destroy an entire industry that was catered to and built kind of for dudes. And so now you get the arguments about, you know, having beautiful women in video games. It's all a bit silly when framed like that, but it becomes more serious when these sorts of attitudes pervade popular gaming discourse. These conversations, often by design, make the community a less welcoming place for those who don't think the sole and primary purpose of video games is to serve up hot women. And it becomes more serious still in the case of Pragmata. Okay, I don't think anybody thinks that the primary purpose of video games is to serve up hot women, but when you have a very specific type of an audience that you're catering to, it don't hurt to put those in there. See, like Trey says, I cared about Olivia Munn's opinion, but only because she was hot. But she also played games. She was also a gamer as well. Like, a lot of these objectively ugly women, or in the case of the author of this one, Troons, who write and talk about games, they're not gamers. And they're not attractive. Nobody gives a fuck what their opinion is about anything, period, ever. Like, go away. So here's where Stacy thinks that Pragmata is problematic. In the run-up to its release, Reddit banned a Pragmata subreddit because of its content. Even with gaming communities being infamously toxic, this is a rare occurrence. R Pragmata _ was shut down due to Reddit's Rule 4, which refers to sexually explicit content of minor. Pragmata's star is a childlike android Diana, who was the focus of this explicit content. This is not an isolated case either. One of the moderators of the main Pragmata mod stepped down because they were sick of all the pedo shit, while the community at large formed a Pragmata Safe for Work sub, specifically founded to escape the Diana content that has become rampant on the main subreddit even after the ban. Here's the thing. For those of you who are not familiar with Reddit and the absolute fucking cesspool of human degeneracy that site is, you know what mostly just runs rampant on Reddit? A bunch of troons and a bunch of liberal dudes. A lot of them gay or into other weird shit. Yeah, that's Reddit culture, period. Like, that is, as Trey says, that is Reddit. Reddit is the most toxic, horrifying place on the internet. Now, I personally enjoy it because I enjoy being a troll and talking shit to these people. But if you're not into that kind of thing, you should avoid Reddit at all costs. And what's even crazier about this is like Reddit and the mods on different like PlayStation and other subreddits where people are talking positively about this game, they remove that stuff. So they've got the pedo shit running rampant, and Reddit allows it for the most part, and took down a subreddit. Again, that's not even the main subreddit. That's just a subreddit for a bunch of fucking weirdos. But they still let this stuff go while they take down the positive, legitimate reviews of it. Like, that tells you everything you need to know about Reddit. Using Reddit as like the baseline for this, full on retardation. Reddit is far from the only place you'll see people sexualizing Diana. Steam forums are full of open discussion of her attractiveness, including but not limited to lusting over her feet and wishing for mods that allow players to dress or undress Diana in a more appealing way. Capcom has not helped itself in this regard, recently offering a Twitch emote of Diana crying in a pose extremely similar to a well-known lolicon meme. I have absolutely no fucking clue what a lolicon meme is, and I honestly don't want to know. Like, the people who this is where their mind goes, there's something fucking fried up here. They have a mental problem. I mean, the author of this is a fucking troon. We already knew this dude has problems, right? What has struck me the most with this is the boldness of it all. I'm not so naive as to be shocked by some of this behavior, nor am I ignorant to the fact that there are bad people in bad corners of the internet, but that's just it. They aren't in corners anymore. It feels like Pragmata signals a normalization of this approach to gaming where everything exists to be sexualized, and anything that cannot be sexualized is acting in service of a nefarious agenda to fundamentally shift society towards wokeness. I have literally seen nothing but positive, wholesome reviews, and I'm all over the internet. I use Reddit to troll people like the author. Even with that, I haven't seen this stuff. Like, what kind of depraved algorithm have you gotten yourself into that's what you see? That it takes you to the point that you think that this is normalized, that this is not in the corners. This is absolutely in the darkest, most awful corners of the internet. I don't see it anywhere on Twitter, X. I don't see it on Reddit. Like I said, I troll Reddit, and I don't see it on Reddit. Like, what the fuck have you gotten yourself into? Again, Troon, probably already into it anyway. There was a similar sort of discussion, cheap discussion over Stellar Blade, but at least the woman being objectified was a woman, not a child. That does make it better, even if it doesn't necessarily make it okay. And even games like Baldur's Gate 3, typically viewed as being on the left of the culture war, has a thirsty fandom that discusses characters in a woobified, hypersexed way, especially in the case of Astarion's post-launch narrative development, can be to the game's detriment. But all of this, the entire culture where everyone is beautiful and no one is horny, is a far more intellectual discussion about how we approach and react to modern media. There's a battle between those who wish to over-sanitize media, considering sex scenes to hold no narrative weight, to even be intrusive to a viewer's sensibilities, and those who have flattened culture down to be nothing but a magazine wrapped in black plastic and sold on the top shelves of news agents. But it's kind of beside the point to delve into this when the subject of the battleground is an actual child, fictional or not. And here's the crux of it. Here we go. I have not yet played Pragmata, and that's because I'm a little tapped out on stories where men adopt daughter-like figures and prove their masculinity by protecting them. We'll get more into that in a minute. But that's the key takeaway from this. I'm a little tapped out on stories where men adopt daughter-like figures and prove their masculinity by protecting them. You're probably tapped out on that because you're a troon who's never going to have children of your own, or probably anything that resembles a healthy like family or love life of your own. And that's sad. Like, that's fucking sad. And we'll get more into the mentality of that sort of thing and how important that is for humanity in general as we keep going. But like, that line right there just summarizes this whole article. I suppose it's marginally a better power fantasy than killing everybody with your awesome strength, but then The Last of Us makes room for both anyway. And see, then The Last of Us, like the original Last of Us, was kind of along the same lines of, adoptive daughter and protecting her. And then troons like this love what they did with The Last of Us, because then they made it woke and gay and all of the horrible things, and they completely wrecked the franchise and made it unplayable by adding all of this, like, just ham-fisting all of this woke fucking garbage into it. If I play Pragmata, and Capcom's post-launch attitude towards the Diana fandom will be a major factor in this, it won't be because I find the child at the center of the game attractive. I don't think anybody's playing because they find the child at the center of the game attractive, except for the just absolute fucking degens that this person runs in the circles with. I hope gaming can get back to a place where, if it's too much to hope that these people cease to exist, that at the very least, they don't get to be so proud of it without consequences. I can't even, like I said, I've been all over the internet, and the only place that I find any even mention of this is from people like that. And it's created this whole thing where we'll get to the Mary Morgan tweet. Like, the Mary Morgan tweet summarizes perfectly what is wrong with these progressive nut jobs that are clearly mentally unstable. Mary Morgan says, and Mary Morgan works for Tim Pool, and this will get us into the new age conservative stuff. Mary Morgan says, lots of strange reactions to this game. Let's clear some things up. Childless men do not have paternal instincts the way that childless women have maternal instincts. We observe this even in the way little girls versus little boys play. What? Men first experience paternal instincts once they have children of their own, and typically those paternal instincts are only ever felt for their own children and no one else's. Bitch, what? Men are not nurturers. Men don't gush over cute kids in public. Men don't have baby fever. If a man wants to possess a child for any reason other than it being a product of his own lineage, he is likely a predator. Bitch, are you fucking retarded? And you'd be taking the feminist, radical, gender abolitionist position to protest any of the above points. Or you are a woman and you are fucking retarded. And that's the only protest we need. Shut the fuck up. This should explain why a dad simulator game marketed to mostly childless men gives people the creeps. Who does this game give the creeps to? Nobody was creeped out by this. Except for woke retards like Mary Morgan. Yeah. Never mind all the men who die protecting their sisters and their mothers. When I was in high school, my mom was a preschool teacher, and I helped my mom with her preschool class, and I took care of all of those kids like they were mine. Like, how many times do we see dudes that will go out of their way to snatch a kid up who's about to be hit by a car, or about to be attacked by an animal or something, not their own, just like that is ingrained into us to be protectors. And if Mary Morgan is running into a lot of dudes who don't have a protector instinct, a paternal, like take care of children, cherish children instinct, it says more about who she's running around with and the kind of people that she's around. I mean, Tim Pool, like, these people are not conservative. They are grifters. They figured out that if they say the right things and they do the right dance and they toe the right lines, that conservatives who are just strapped for anything that's not completely left-wing lunacy coming from media, that they will go jump on it. So all Tim Pool has to do is not be a woke retard, and they'll jump on it. And then they can just grift their way to whatever they want out of it. While, at the same time, they continue to try to move the conservative needle further and further to the left. You don't think that your enemies are trying to manipulate and use you? Just look at what came out with the SPLC. Oh. Yeah. The funniest thing is that we want to normalize stepfathers, and yet somehow we're shaming men for a father-like mindset. Like I said, my mom was a preschool teacher. I always took care of kids. Like, I always took care of kids. Those little kids were like mine. Like, they were like my little brothers and little sisters. Like, I took care of them. I would see them in the halls as like, because mom started teaching. Mom was a preschool teacher for 20 years. And so I started going and helping with her classes when I was in like junior high. And as I, got through school and got to be a senior and then graduated, and I would come back from college and help out some too, and see these kids grow up, and like they would remember me, and which is really cool. And like to feel pride for these kids as they grow up, and like that they're gonna be all right. Because a lot of times, like in the rural areas like that, preschools, the kids that are in the preschools are like they don't have anywhere else to be during the day, so they need to be in the school. Otherwise, they their home life or family life or whatever, it's not always necessarily the greatest. So you see these kids grow up and like they're gonna be all right, and then a lot of them, they are all right, and it's really good, and you still feel a certain level of protectiveness of them, even as they get to be adults, because like they're like your kids at that time. Like, I'm trying not to cry, but like I've seen it with my own son, and the way he cares for his cousin, my nephew Mason, the way he cares for his mom's goddaughter, like the way he would take care of kids when we would just be out, like I think that is naturally ingrained into us as men, that we are protectors. We are nurturers, maybe not in the like motherly way, but we are nurturers and protectors. If your circle of men that don't naturally have that says more about them. In fact, the studies say that's probably says more about them. Mary Morgan got fact-checked hard on her, or community noted hard on her post. You have the from the Literary Hub, Paternal Instincts, Why Men Go Gaga Over Babies Too, where it goes into like a full explanation of why men respond to children crying, why men do have those paternal instincts, even men who don't have children. You also have the one where she's, men don't go gaga over babies. What'd she say? Men don't have baby fever. Well, guess what? That's also been proven wrong. I'm trying to find the statistic. There's very little difference. I think it was like 52 or 53% of women have like baby fever, where like 49% of men experience baby fever. Like very little difference. Almost a push. Like we experience that too. And again, that's what it really makes me think is these people are projecting a lot. Like, how many times have we seen all of these? Sorry to go back to this, but all of these troon politicians and people that that the left props up, and then come to find out they're child predators. Wow, crazy, right? Who would have thought? I did a whole series on the gay Georgia couple that adopted a couple little boys and were raping them. Like, these are the people that your side, that the left, that the progressives have surrounded themselves with. So naturally, that's what they just assume every time. They can't fathom that men actually have paternal instincts and are defensive and protective of children and want to have families, because their entire circle proves that those men are predators, because the men on those in their circles 100% are fucking predators. It's just, what's even crazier about it is it kind of pushes back against what they have been trying to accomplish for years, for a couple generations even. Trying to destroy the nuclear family, trying to undermine men as anything but monsters, really. The game, whether it intended to or not, is proving that men do have strong paternal instincts, that men really do want children, that men really do want to take care of a family. It's why women, or I guess in the artificial estrogens, in the first author's case, why the feminine mindset doesn't understand that picture that was going around a couple years ago of the park bench with the snow by the river, and men being like, I could die there. And they all thought that it was because men had some like fantastical death wish or something. Like, no. Like, the idea of that was like, I have given everything I have to defend my family, to protect what is precious to me, and I won. And I could go sit there and die knowing that they are safe and I won. And they just can't fathom that. They can't fathom that men would willingly give their lives for the things they love, specifically for their families, because those people don't love anything. I don't know if they know what real familial love even is. Yeah, the men that don't feel that instinct, that paternal instinct, are already spiritually trooned out. Like, and that's one of those things that, as a man who feels that, who understands that, whether you have children or not, you can see it in somebody else if they don't. Like, that's pretty easy to sniff out if somebody is not a paternal, nurturing, protective type. And I know some. It's fine. I don't have any problem with them as people. I would never, ever trust them anywhere near my children. especially not when my children were little and like actually needed to be taken care of and needed somebody that was going to, protect them and look out for them. They might be fine people. I'm not saying that they're not very good people, but they are people that I would not trust them to watch my children. Not because I think that they would do something to my children, but because I don't know that they would do what's necessary if it was required of them. And you know who they are. And it's, a lot of times it's fine. I'm not saying that those guys have anything untoward about them. Just, I wouldn't trust them with my kids because I don't think they have the protector instinct to do what's necessary to take care of my kids. I, on the other hand, will take care of anybody's kids. And this is even before I had kids of my own. Like, if a kid is in need, we take care of them. That is what we are programmed to do. We are the defenders of the innocent. And if the dudes around you don't have that pre-programmed into them, that they are the defenders of the innocent, of women and children, and that whether they have their own, they're going to do what's necessary to protect those around them, you might want to look at your circle and think real hard about who you spend time around. That's just saying. So yeah, this game has opened up a lot of conversation about a lot of things. And they're things that are important because as men, we need to get away from allowing troons and progressive women to tell us what is and isn't toxic masculinity, what is and isn't acceptable as men. My comment on the Mary Morgan post was, I was told that since men don't have uteruses, we are not allowed to have opinions on women's things. So since you don't have a dick, you can take this garbage opinion and stick it up your ass. Women don't get to have an opinion. If we don't get to have an opinion on anything women related because we don't have a uterus, you lack a cock and ball, so get the fuck out of the conversation. Grow a pair and then we'll talk about it. We need to take back the conversation. We need to prove that strong, protective, nurturing men not only exist, we're the fucking norm. Not those predatory pedos on Reddit that make kiddie porn out of a video game. Those are the weirdos who need to be pushed back into the corners, be pushed off the edge, be taken out of society entirely. They are the ones who are the problem, not us. I will be back next week to talk about The Boys. If you're not familiar with The Boys and you have no idea what The Boys is, don't look into it. Holy shit. We'll leave it at that. But if you do know about The Boys and you are familiar, I'm going to talk about the most recent season of The Boys and where I see the show going, and some of my issues with the directions they have taken with the current season, which is, thank God, the final season. Again, and like I said, I'll get with Trey and we'll do like a whole Gamergate recap of the last like 25 years because it's been a lot of bullshit. Plenty of other stuff that I would like to talk about going forward, and we'll dive back into. I also need to do the follow up on the Lord of the Rings thing, which was the last thing that Jay Forte and I had talked about a few months ago. So lots of stuff to talk about. I intend to be back regularly doing this again. If you want to follow along with how I'm doing, you can check out my Substack. I write not as often as I think of stuff that I want to write, but I'm trying not to. If I didn't stop myself, I would just write something every day, and I don't know that it would be helpful. So I try to keep my thoughts more clear and concise and write the stuff that weighs the most heavily on my heart to write, and maybe some of that helps other people who have dealt with similar stuff as well. I don't know. It helps me. That'll do it for today. I will be back next Thursday. If you do want to hear me talk about explicitly political stuff, you can always tune into the Peddling Fiction podcast every Tuesday and Friday, most of the time. That's where Johnny and I actually talk about political stuff. And I will continue to talk about political stuff there. I just want to move this show into a slightly less explicitly political realm and focus more on this kind of stuff. So that'll do it for today. I will be back next week. Hope you all have a great rest of your week and weekend. I'll catch you later.